The scream tore through the quiet of Willow Creek Lane, sharp and feral, halting the morning in its tracks. It wasn't just fear, it was a mother's rage, raw and unyielding, erupting from Clara Monroe as she stood barefoot on her lawn, gripping a garden hose like a weapon. Across the street, a dog's bark choked off mid-yelp. A lawnmower sputtered to silence. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, sensing something had gone horribly wrong. At the heart of it, a black SUV idled, its tinted windows swallowing the sunlight. Two men stepped out, their movements too smooth, their eyes too cold. They weren't here to talk. They were here to take. Clara's heart pounded, water dripping from the hose on her faded jeans. Her daughter, 9-year-old Sophie, knelt on the sidewalk, clutching neon green chalk, her small hands streaked with color. She'd been drawing a dragon VY Brandt purple scales, a jagged crown, and the words Empress Dragon Rules scrawled in wobbly letters. It was the kind of art that made Clara's chest ache with love, a glimpse into Sophie's fearless world. But now that world was under attack. The taller man, lean with sharp cheekbones, held a clipboard like it granted him authority. His polo shirt read Community Compliance in stark white letters, but there was no badge, no official seal. His partner, stocky with a buzz cut and a tactical belt bristling with zip ties and a stun gun, scanned the scene like a hunter. Clara's instincts screamed. "Can I help you?" she asked, voice steady despite the dread twisting her gut. The tall one, who called himself Officer Tate, ignored her, striding towards Sophie. "This your kid?" His tone was cold, like he was reading from script. "She's defacing public property. Dulaw 600 fine, code 4. Clara blinked, the absurdity hitting her like a slap. "It's washable chalk. She's drawing a dragon." The stocky one, Officer Brandt, thrust the clipboard forward. "Sign the citation, ma'am." Refusal escalates to property seizure. Clara's grip tightened, water pooling at her feet. "There's no HOA here. It dissolved in 2015. "Who are you?" Tate's lips twitched, not quite a smile. "Regional Oversight Committee. New management. Sign, or we verify the child's identity." He nodded at Sophie, who looked up, her chalk-dusted face paling. "Mom!" Sophie's voice trembled. Clara dropped the hose and stepped in front of her daughter. "You're not touching her." Brandt's hand brushed his stun gun, his patience thinning. "Ma'am, step aside, or—" A voice sliced through the tension, low and steady, like a blade drawn slow. "Touch her, and I'll ruin you in ways you can't imagine." Everyone froze. In the doorway stood Nathan Cole, Clara's estranged father, mid-50s, lean and weathered, with silver hair cropped close and eyes that burned with quiet fury. He wore a faded denim jacket, hands in his pockets, but his presence was a storm cloud rolling in. The men didn't know it yet, but they'd walked into a lion's den. Willow Creek was a haven of wide streets, trimmed hedges, and porches with rocking chairs, a place where chaos wasn't supposed to exist. That Saturday morning, the air smelled of fresh grass and jasmine. Clara had been watering her roses, savoring a rare moment of peace. Sophie, her dreamer, had been lost in her chalk masterpiece, humming softly. It was perfect until the SUV arrived. The vehicle had no plates, its engine idling like a predator's growl. Clara's single-mom instincts flared. These men weren't neighbors or delivery drivers. Their movements were too practiced, their words too rehearsed. When Tate demanded Sophie's name and age, Clara's unease turned to fury. "There's no oversight committee," she said, voice rising. "I've lived here a decade. I know." Tate didn't blink. "New charter. Effective last month. You'll get paperwork after the fine." Sophie clutched her chalk. "Mom, am I in trouble?" "No, sweetheart," Clara said, crouching to hug her. But her eyes stayed on the men. "You're not." Brandt stepped closer. "We need to confirm her identity." "Procedure." Clara shot up, blocking his path. "Back off." Brandt's hand hovered over his stun gun. "You're obstructing." That's when Nathan stepped in. "You're not officers," he said, voice calm but laced with steel. "There's no HOA. This sidewalk's city property. Your citations are fiction." Tate scoffed, but his eyes flickered. Who are you? Clara answered, her voice low. Nathan Cole. My father. And you're out of your depth. Nathan pulled a worn leather wallet from his pocket, flashing an ID that looked official enough to make Brant pause. I've spent 30 years dismantling men who hide behind fake titles, he said. Dictators, traffickers. You're amateurs, but the game's the same. Brant laughed nervously. What, you some retired cop? Nathan's gaze was ice. No, I was lead counsel for the International Criminal Court. I've caged men for less than this. The words hit like a shockwave. Tate's clipboard lowered, and Brant's hand drifted from his stun gun. But they weren't backing down yet. You're interfering, Tate said, doubling down. We'll escalate. Nathan's faint smile was chilling. Try it. Brant snapped. He lunged towards Sophie, whether for her or the chalk. Clara couldn't tell. Nathan was faster. In a blur, he stepped in, seized Brant's wrist, and twisted it with precision. Brant hit the ground hard, face first in Clara's roses, petals flying. The clipboard skidded across the sidewalk. Tate stumbled back, hands raised. We're just doing our job. Your job. Nathan growled. Show me your credentials. Name, agency code. Now. Tate fumbled, producing a laminated card that looked like a bad Photoshop job. Nathan glanced at it and snorted. This is a joke. Brant, still in the dirt, muttered, Mine's in the car. Of course, Nathan said. He turned to Clara, who clutched her phone, thumb over 911. Call it in. She hesitated, watching Nathan dismantle them with words and presence. But the situation was spiraling. Neighbors were out now, filming from porches. Mrs. Larson shouted. They tried to find me for my bird feeder. Nathan's eyes locked on the man. You thought the street was easy, quiet families, no pushback. You were wrong. Sirens wailed, closing in. Clara exhaled, dialing. 911. What's your emergency? Two men impersonating officials, she said, voice steadier. They threatened my daughter. My father intervened. They're still here. Tate bolted for the SUV. Nathan didn't chase. Two police cruisers screeched around the corner, lights flashing, blocking the vehicle. Officers spilled out, weapons low. Hands up. Tate froze. Brant didn't resist as an officer cuffed him. Nathan stepped back, hands raised to show he was no threat. Clara pulled Sophie into a fierce hug. You're okay, baby. Sophie nodded, voice muffled. Grandpa's scary. Clara almost laughed. Yeah. The police search of the SUV turned Clara's stomach. Zip ties, a stun baton, fake citations, and a burner phone with a list of named children's names, addresses, schedules. At the top, Willow Creek Priority. Clara's house was starred. Single mother, no pets, child home by 3 p.m. They were targeting us, Clara whispered, her voice breaking. Nathan's jaw tightened, but he stayed silent, watching the officers catalog EVY Denke. Neighbors crowded closer, shock turning to rage. Mister, Patel shouted, they hit my place last month. Said my fence was illegal. Want to do Law 400? Officer Delgado approached Nathan. You're Nathan Cole? Nathan nodded. I subdued them when they reached for my granddaughter. Delgado glanced at a neighbor's footage on a teen's phone. You move like a pro. Nathan shrugged. Old habits. Clara stepped forward, holding Sophie's hand. They want to take her. Delgado's face darkened. This wasn't a one-off. They've been hitting neighborhoods for months. The fake officers sat cuffed on the curb, sweating. Tate muttered about misunderstandings, but Brant was silent, his bravado gone. Nathan crouched before them, voice low. You thought you could scare people into submission. You came to the wrong house. Tate sneered. What are you, a VY Gillandy? Nathan's eyes narrowed. I'm a guy who knows what happens when predators lose their masks. The story exploded. Local news picked it up, then national outlets. Hashtags like the Dragon Dad trended, fueled by VY Deos of Nathan's calm takedown. Reporters begged Clara for inter-VYUs. She refused. They came for Sophie, she told Nathan. This isn't entertainment. Nathan, who'd prosecuted war criminals in The Hague, hated the spotlight. He'd sifted through mass graves, interrogated men who'd ordered atrocities. Fame was a liability. But this wasn't about him. It was about what they'd uncovered. Investigators traced the men to a network across 3 states. They called it Operation Safe Streets, a sick irony. The men weren't just scammer sex security contractors, a disgraced cop. Their storage unit held forged documents, burner phones, and cash from extorted families. They'd exploited public records to target quiet neighborhoods, using fear and fake authority. Clara couldn't sleep. The thought of those men watching her house haunted her. She got a Doga Scrappy Terrier, Sophie, named Ember in new locks, but the fear lingered. Sophie changed too. She still drew dragons, but her questions cut deeper. "Why do people pretend to be good?" she asked Nathan. He didn't soften it. "To control people who trust them. But you're smart, Sophie. You'll spot the fakes." A week later, the sheriff held a press conference, praising Nathan's decisive action. "These men preyed on trust," he said. Nathan stood in the back, uncomfortable with the applause. A reporter unearthed an old quote. "EVYL wears a suit and smiles." It went VY-RAL. Willow Creek didn't let it fade. Neighbors met on the sidewalk where Sophie's dragon had sparked it all. The chalk was gone, washed away, but its memory remained. "Mrs. Larson proposait un permanent marqueur." "Let's keep the dragon," she said. "Let remind us to fight." A local artist crafted a bronze plaque, etching Sophie's dragon crowned and fierce with the words, "Courage needs no badge." Nathan objected. "This isn't about me." Clara touched his arm. "It's about Sophie." The unveiling was simple neighbors, lemonade, cicadas humming. Sophie, in a dragon-printed dress, pulled off the cloth. The crowd cheered, some crying. Nathan stood back, watching. Clara leaned against him. "She'll grow up braver than us." Nathan's voice was soft. "She already is." Sophie knelt by the plaque, pulling out chalk. She didn't draw a dragon. She wrote one word in bold green: truth. In Willow Creek, that word echoed louder than any siren. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.